You're listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. 100% listener-supported radio. Reporting the danger. Unafraid. Right here, where information never sleeps. Revolution Radio!
Most are afraid of unknown depths, skirting shores thinking world flat. And with the island girls in celebration of new religion. Nobody led me or said this way. I sailed alone on makeshift raft with wind as companion. Fate for deliverance, confidence enough to assess new dispositions. Seekers of lost paradise may seem fools to those who never sought the other world. Welcome to Momentary Zen with Zen Garcia. Visit www.fallenangels.tv. You're listening to Revolution Radio.
Hello and welcome everybody, and I am just honored to be here with all of you this evening, and I pray that my voice will remain strong and that I'm able to get through this show. But I am joined this evening by Kimberly Baker. We're going to be giving an update on the Kenyan Orphanage and the process of what we've been trying to do, and we are also going to ask those of you that can do so to support the orphanage as well. And I will also I will be sending out some books to those of you that do, and so we'll speak about that. But Kimberly, are you there, sister?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, excellent. Well, thanks for joining us. It's always an honor to share time and space with you and to do the work of supporting the orphans and the widows as we have been mandated by the scriptures to do. And especially now, even though myself and my family, we don't celebrate Christmas, but I know that, much of the world does, and that it is a celebratory occasion, and that a lot of people do feel a need to give and to support charities and those that are less fortunate and those that are in need. And I think that's a positive thing, and it's something that we should strive to do at all times of the year, not just necessarily around the Christmas season, but that giving to people in need, that we should be doing that without expectation of reward or benefit, or that, because we are told to do so. I just think that, it feels good to do good and to support others in such capacity. And so that's what I'm hoping. We've been commanded by the 10 Commandments to love our Maker as we love ourselves, and to love each other, even our enemies, that we should pray for and, love and share love with those that come upon our path. But Robert will be joining us in the second hour to provide a detailed update of what's been going on. There has been a delay in the work that we were doing, just because I had a rough early part of the year. I spent 7 weeks in the hospital in the ICU, and praise God, I was able to come out of that situation and to overcome the challenges that it placed upon my life, which was very, very, very trying. And I'm still contending with some of that even in this day and age. But Kimberly, let's get an update from you, sister, and tell us how you're doing, and also what's been going on with you with the case, the Supreme Court case.
So things have been really busy around here for us, and as you know, the world has gone haywire, and it seems like the governments across the globe are just as corrupt as can be, and our government is just as bad. You know, we've talked about our American state nationals and the constitutions and those things, and you know, as we just sit and watch the lawfare and the conspiracy against rights and the deprivation against rights that's happening all over the country, from Donald Trump all the way down to people in small towns and counties, and it's on a mass scale. So our Supreme Court case, the last you guys heard is we had it in the Arkansas Supreme Court, the case for Cheryl, and they denied that case and chose not to hear it. So Supreme Court Justice Chief John Kemp and Attorney General Tim Griffin, which it was upon the advice of the Attorney General that the Supreme Court of Arkansas chose not to hear that case. So we filed with Cheryl Corell's case here in Arkansas. We filed with the Federal Western District Court and did a habeas corpus through the Federal Western District Court, and that was done in June. And during that time, it was as if the Federal Western District Court, had just kind of waited around and really didn't do anything on the habeas corpus. Usually a habeas corpus is looked at within 30 days. And if it's not looked at within 30 days, usually by 60 days, if there's extenuating circumstances. Well, that case it's now December, and that case still has not been decided. During that time of the Federal Western District Court stall out, the circuit court in the county, the Garland County Circuit Court, with the corrupt judges and the corrupt prosecuting attorneys and public defenders, decided to go ahead and hold a kangaroo double jeopardy court trial with Cheryl, who has been in jail since February 29th, 2024, on false charges. She had already had a verdict from our court and through our grand jury of innocence. There was no victim, there is no crime. So if you don't have a victim in common law, there's no crime. And so you have to harm somebody, damage their property, bring injury to someone, steal their property. You have to do something of some type of harm, and that was not the case. What was uncovered, though, was that this was a conspiracy from Sozo's Drug Rehab, and who had orchestrated this and instigated a lawfare and a going after Cheryl to take her land. And they utilized their relationship with the Garland County Sheriff's Department, the animal control, the judges, and the prosecuting attorneys in order to go after her with false charges from the beginning.
Let's stop for just a second, because for those that do not know anything about this case, its origins, what it's about, and its connections to as far as the citizenship and what you have been working on, give some background detail on all of that, because I'm sure that people are just confused and don't know what you're talking about.
So the background on the American State National and our courts being set up, or the background on Cheryl and her case?
Yeah, both your side of it as well as how it pertains to the case and how you got involved with it and what it's really about.
Okay, so we became so in August of on August 27th, 2023, we set up our courts in Arkansas, and as Zen and I have discussed before on a show that we did of the law of creator, we did a show about the law of the land and how our rights, and we did it through the Constitution, and how our rights come from creator, and we have inalienable rights, and the government had taken over through the birth certificate our citizenship and made us slaves to the system through corporate franchises. And our Republican form of government was put into place in 1998. That's when people had begun to realize the fraud that had been perpetrated on all of the Americans here in this country. And so our states went up. That federal government was set up in 1998. It operates as the Federation of States. It's a lawful Republican form of government guaranteed to the people. The United States of America Unincorporated, that's our Republican form of government, has been making steady progress for the past 26 years. We have a banking system that has been developed for the past 17 years. That has finally been finalized, and all of our charters and contracts are in place with the American Federation dollar to take over as the gold-backed currency. Our post offices were updated and renewed in 2008. All actions have been recorded and published on the public record, and due process has been served internationally, ending April of 2014. So our Republican form of government is recognized internationally since 2014. The final judgment and civil orders went out across all British territorial municipal subcontractors on October 14th, 2014. And basically all 50 states were called into session in 2019. And so that's our Republican form of government at the federal level. All states are up. And so as all states are up, as our Republican form of government that was hidden from us from the Civil War, Arkansas has been working hard to get our courts up, our grand juries up, our militias up, and our international business assembly up. And there's only two reasons that you need government. You need government to protect the people and their assets. That's it. That's the only reason we need government. We can govern ourselves. Any government that is not expressly protecting the people's assets, their property, and their person don't need to exist. And then the second thing is to enforce the constitutions. And so that's what our Republican form of government does. So when we set up our courts August 27th, 2023, the very first case that came to our courts was a state citizen by the name of Cheryl Jean Corell. Now, there's three different types of citizens in this country. If you go and you look through the Supreme Court cases, we have citizens of the United States. That is the citizenship that was created by the 14th Amendment in Congress. And so where that was trying to get rid of slavery, what we don't realize is that the Vatican, the municipal form of government, ended up making us slaves through that federal citizenship. The next citizenship that we have is a U.S. citizen. A U.S. citizen is done through our birth certificates that creates a corporate fictitious entity in our names the day we are born, and then attaches that to us, the living people. And it is a form of slavery that ties us into sea and air jurisdiction when we should be bound to the land jurisdiction. And wow, I know that's probably a little confusing to some, but our Republican form of government, which is it's of, by, and for the people, is now being put in place in all of the states. A lot has happened since the last time I talked to you, Zen, as far as where we've come as a government. I'm sure when one of the times that we talked, I told you that both the United States Inc. and United States Incorporated and the United States of America Incorporated, both of those corporations, the British Territorial and the Municipal, have actually gone into bankruptcy. The British Territorial, which holds the presidency and that Congress in our country, did a restructuring bankruptcy, and so they restructured their organization. But the municipal form of government that's run by the Vatican, on October 1st of this year, that bankruptcy was finalized and it was liquidated. That whole form of government was liquidated. Now, Congress came in and gave a 3-month extension that lasts till January 1st, 2025. And I don't know if it's going to extend. They can extend it again if they want. But while we're in this transition, the only lawful government on the land and soil of this country is our Republican form of government that has been in operation since 1998. Our head of state and our fiduciary have gone across the entire country on October 7th and have declared land on October 7th, right after the bankruptcy. Land law was declared across the country. And what that means is, as the lawful government declares land law across the country, these corporate organizations that have to move into their peacekeeping positions and their peacekeeping offices and go back to the oaths of their constitutions. If they do not operate within the realm of their constitution, then they can be arrested and charged with crimes against the people. And so what that means is we would go back to common law. And it's basically where if you harm someone or damage someone's property, then that would have to be dealt with. But as far as crimes that are not where there's no victim, there's no crime, then those things are going to have to go by the wayside. And so I told you before about the grand juries and how the grand juries are the enforcement leg of the Republican form of government. The reason you don't see those in the Declaration of Independence or in the Constitution is because those contracts were written to our government. That is the limits that the government has. See, our Constitution limits the government and how they can act against all of us, the people. And if they don't act within the realm of their contract, then it's a crime. And so our grand juries across all 50 states are moving into that enforcement realm to enforce the contracts, the constitutions on our employees, which are the government, because we, the people, all of us, there's 330 million of us here, but we, the people who were frauded upon, that's the contract that we made. We said that we would consent to be governed by Constitution and not by all of these 80 million codes and regulations. And so that has now gone into effect all across the country. I do know that Donald Trump will be entering office soon, and many people see that he is in process of cleaning house and cleaning corruption. But we on the states, we the people on the states, are cleaning out the corruption within each one of our states and counties, because as you know, or you should know, that the corruption goes not only to the top at the presidency right now, but it has been infiltrated all the way down to the county level. Our courts, our common law courts and our common law grand juries at the county level are the Article 3 courts that are guaranteed in the Constitution. They are the supreme courts of the land, which means the verdicts that come out of the county grand juries and trial by juries are more supreme than even the, quote, Supreme Court in Washington, D.C. Our county courts are the supreme courts of the land because that's the courts closest to the people, and the people are the ones that hold the power. And so those courts are now going back into operation. When ours went into operation in August 27th of 2023, our very first case that came to us was Cheryl Corell, who had been absolutely attacked by Sozos Drug Rehab for 6 years. Her case had been in the court system for 6 years, and they had a numerous amount of false charges against her that had no merit, they were just all false. But it was proven through our grand jury that we had and our jury that the conspiracy, that it was all orchestrated. In fact, we have the director of Sozos admitting in writing that they were intent on getting her removed from her land so that they could have it. And all of this is on our website at thearkansasassembly.net. But in Cheryl's case, during this whole past year, we did our court case, but the county court would not do jurisdiction. So we have jurisdictions, and when Cheryl challenged jurisdiction lawfully with that court system to have her court case heard in a common law court, because the common law court is guaranteed in the Constitution. The Supremacy Clause of Article 6, Paragraph 2 states that the Constitution and laws of the United States, which shall be made pursuant thereof, and the treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land. And the judges in every state shall be bound thereby. That means that the judges are bound by the Constitution. And anything in their Constitution or laws of any state that are contrary to the Constitution are notwithstanding in law. And so all of these judges that operate in every state are supposed to be operating according to the Constitution, but they don't. They operate according to codes, statutes, and policies. And so since Cheryl was a state citizen, she had the right, according to the Constitution, to go to an Article 3 common law Supreme Court. The Judiciary Act of 1789 also saves that for her, and that's the saving to suitors clause. It says that saving to all suitors in all cases the right of a common law remedy where the common law is competent to give it, meant that the jurisdiction of common law courts cannot be taken away. It is a saving for the benefit of both the plaintiff and defendant, and not just the defendant alone. So basically that is saying that to everyone that comes before a case in their living man capacity at any time and all times, whether defendant or plaintiff has the right to go to a common law court if that common law court is open in session and is competent to hear the case. And so these are all in our documents, our founding documents that guarantee the trial by jury. The guarantee of a trial by jury contained in the Constitution is equally binding upon rulers and people at all times under all circumstances. So our verdict that we had is binding on all rulers and all people in all circumstances with a trial by jury through the common law courts. But the judges decided not to let go of the case and accept our verdict, and so they took her through a kangaroo court. She's been in jail since February 29th, 2024. Our verdict came out on February 22nd, 2024. It was put on the docket, so they knew in advance that the verdict was out. They should have released her from jail on March 1st, 2024. The moment that they knew that the verdict was on the docket, she should have been released and let go, no problem. But no, she's sat in jail since then. She was unbailable. All of her rights have been stripped. While she was in that kangaroo court, she was not able to have assistance of counsel. So that broke her Sixth Amendment right. She was not allowed to have any witnesses in her defense in this trial, which broke her Sixth Amendment right. She was not allowed to be pro se, which means to defend her, to give her case herself. She was forced with a public defender, and you can't have a public defender unless you are indigent or poor, and she's not. And so they forced that upon her when she didn't even qualify, and he worked against her the whole time. What happened is in that trial, when she got on the stand to defend herself, they had her in a taser belt. And we were witnesses. There was like 13 of us that were there to witness all of this while she was on the stand, when she was asked questions, and the public defender or the prosecutor or the judge did not like how she answered. She was being tased while being on the stand. I'm telling you, we have witnesses to all of this. There was like 13 or 14 of us that are in court that watched all of this go down. But yes, so she has marks on her from being tased, or had marks on her from being tased. So after her testimony and stuff was over, the judge only gave the jury certain parameters, but she was on trial. So just so you know, I want everyone to know, she was on trial for missing a court date. She's on trial for missing just a regular checkup hearing, which this was going to be a discussion about the challenge of jurisdiction that she had done 30 days earlier that the court hadn't answered. But she had an emergency in her family. Her son had a car accident, and she had to get to Texas to go take care of her granddaughter that was 3 years old, because her son ended up in the hospital over that accident. So she put that she wouldn't be in court on the docket. She gave advance notice she couldn't be there, and they put 3 warrants out for her arrest when she missed that day of court, even though she gave advance notice she couldn't be there. That pushed off 3 felony failure to appears, even though she missed 1 day of court, August 21st, 2023. When she went to trial for this in September, the jury ended up coming back and gave her 45 years in prison for missing 1 day in court that she gave advance notice that she couldn't be there. And she is now serving that time. And we are actively, at this point, we have actively gone to President Trump, to Kash Patel, to Pam Bundy, to Matt Gaetz, to Jim Jordan. At this point, we have sent notices. Our grand jury has now taken over the case and is now going after those who are complicit in this crime, from county officials all the way up through state and federal officials, because that's where it stands. I couldn't believe it when we heard the verdict that she got 45 years in prison for missing 1 day in court, that she gave advance notice she couldn't be there. We were absolutely appalled. Murderers only get 15 years in prison. So, yeah.
Well, they seem to be definitely wanting to make it. Do you have the show open? Because I'm getting feedback. Yeah.
I don't know.
You're not on YouTube, right?
No, I'm not on YouTube. I'm just on Skype.
Okay. All right. I'm not getting feedback anymore, so that's good. All right. So, well, yeah, that definitely seems like they are trying to make an example of her. What can be done? I mean, how do you fight the system that's been, accepted and put into place all these years, and the force a change? Because it's similar to like they have this whole alternative military tribunal system, which strips habeas corpus rights and supports extraordinary rendition and kidnapping and things like that, torture. and they can use, hearsay testimony that you gave under torture against you. I mean, it's insane what's going on, but what do you, where do you turn to get justice?
Okay, so here's where we turn to get justice, and that is our founding documents. And not just our founding documents. We have to know who we are, and we have to stand in who we are. And remember, it's not just me and my husband standing here in who we are. We have a Republican form of government that has been put in place since 1998, standing nationally. We have all 50 states that are up and building their true Republican form of government that was in place before it was taken down at the Civil War, which really wasn't a war, it was a mercenary conflict. So, and I have discussed that on other of your shows, but let me explain. Yeah. Let me just kind of go through this and show you how we take care of this. So, as I said before, government's only purpose is to protect the people, their property, and their assets, plain and simple. And not only that, to enforce the constitutions. And our grand juries in our state and our grand juries that are the people's. We didn't give that to government to control. That is ours. Our grand juries enforce the constitutions. So at this moment, our grand jury, you can go to the arkansasassembly.net. Our grand jury has sent orders to the Federal Western District Court, to the governor's office, to the attorney general's office, to the state Supreme Court Chief Justice office, to the county. We've sent it to, like I said, to Donald Trump, to the Judiciary Committee of the Senate, which is Lindsey Graham, who is the head of that, to Jim Jordan, who is the head of the Judiciary Committee, Oversight Committee of the House, which is they actually expose and look through constitutional things that are unconstitutional. And so that we've sent all of that there. Pam Bunty, who will be the Attorney General for the country, all of that has been sent off. But knowing who we are and we're standing up, just our Declaration of Independence says that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. They're endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. See, they only get their powers from our consent. And when they act outside of the box, then they get prosecuted. And the reason that the country has gone amok in the way that it has is because the arm of enforcement of our grand juries has been missing since the Civil War. Our grand juries were supposed to be the ones that were enforcing the Constitution upon our employers and upon the people where it was being broken. And so further down, it says that when any form of government becomes destructive to what? Destructive to protecting the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness of the people. Well, they've done that all over the country. They're taking people's life. They're putting people in prison. The crazy thing is that, guys, these prisons, if you go look up the prisons, do you know like 70% or more of the people that are in prisons right now are there for nonviolent, no crime? There's not a victim. They're in there for stuff where there's not a victim. If we would get people out of jail that didn't actually commit a crime and steal and damage anyone's property or harm anyone, then we're supposed to be the most free nation in the world, but we have more people in prison than anyone else in the world, and in prison for nonviolent crimes, and actually no crimes because there's no victim. So it says when that form of government becomes destructive, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. It is time that we alter and abolish, and we've put in new guards, the government that is hell-bent on destroying the people of this country. And we, the people, can't stand for it anymore. It's coming from all angles. The chemtrails, the fluoride in the water, the weaponization of our weather. I mean, we can go on and on. The weaponization of the police against the people, the court system being weaponized against the people. It has to stop. It absolutely has to stop. So the people may take whatever action necessary to right the breach of their God-given rights without any fear of reprisal. And that's where we're at now. We're in the place where we, the people, have lawfully put together our Republican form of government, and we have no fear of reprisal. We are doing exactly what needs to take place in order to get what we need done. And so, as we, the people, it is not just our right to throw off a government that is bent on our harm and destruction, but it's our duty. The Constitution says it's our right and our duty to throw it off. And so there's a difference between a right and a duty. Everybody has rights. You know, you have the right to vote. Well, I have the right to vote, but I can choose not to go and vote. So I didn't exercise that right. But when you talk about duty, duty is something that goes deeper. When we see that the people of this country are being harmed in such manner by our, quote, corporate subcontractors, then it is our duty to step in and protect the people, protect their property, and protect their assets. And so that's where we are at this point. We are standing and fighting for all the people of this country that have been absolutely pillaged by this fraud of the corporate franchise that has made us all slaves. And so also in the Constitution, it says, when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably to the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right and duty to throw off such government and provide new guards for their future security. We aren't doing this because, you know, just some small thing happens. A long train of abuses. We've seen a long train of abuses that has happened to us since the Civil War. And at this point, we have to throw it off. And we have to educate. The main thing at this point, as I go forward to Donald Trump and as I go to talk to any and all of these federal officials moving forward about Cheryl's case, all of this is stemming from our end as a state for Cheryl's case, but not just her case. This is going on everywhere. This change of government and this change of land law has been enacted across the whole country. So where we in Arkansas are fighting on Cheryl's case, we are actually at the same time fighting for all the states because we're all close to the same place, and each one of us have, you know, instances in our own state. Look at North Carolina. North Carolina has been obliterated, and, you know, FEMA has come in and done all kinds of horrible things there to the people that are there in that state. They're dealing with a whole different set of issues than we are here in our state, but the American State Nationals are there working to right the wrongs. And so that's what we're doing. So our grand jury has taken over in Cheryl's case and has sent documentation, has sent orders. And if these government officials from the governor's office and the military and on up do not get her released and work to get her released, then the grand jury will be meeting and start indicting people and bringing them in and holding hearings on all these government officials in our courts. I want to take just a second and read the statement that not only the notice that went out through the federal Republican form of government, but also what went out from our state concerning Cheryl, because what has happened to Cheryl is so egregious. They are going to have to release her from jail and recognize the common law verdict that was given before she was ever arrested, finding her innocent of all charges, because that was her right to be able to move into the common law. Again, her entire case can be found at the arkansasAssembly.net. But this, I'm just going to read a piece of this so that the people that are here can understand we are actively moving as a one force to show the conspiracy and the liability of our employees when they treat the people in a way that that breaks their rights, or that is a conspiracy or a deprivation of their rights. The United States of America Unincorporated is the only properly declared and organized government of record having standing on the land and soil of this country. But more than that, our Federation of States and our member states, we are the delegators of powers and principles of contract and able to enforce all three federal constitutions. We have the ability to enforce them. Land law was what needs to be understood by all public officials and public officers is that on October 1st, 2024 at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the United States Incorporated ceased to exist. It was the final step of Chapter 7 involuntary bankruptcy that Pope Francis put in motion years ago. An emergency appropriation of territorial funds has provided a 3-month transition period during which truly essential services will further be identified, and extraneous over illegal services, those will be shut down. This 3-month period of time is a transition of government and a transition of power. The United States Corporation has been dissolved, and all officers of British territorial government will have to transfer to their peacekeeping positions bound by the Constitution. The transfer of government and power moves to the only lawful government in this country, and that is the Federation of States, the Republican form of government. The Arkansas Assembly is the only lawful Republican form of government in Arkansas, and power has been transferred back to the people of this state. Another result of the changes being made is that the American military is a military service again, no longer being operated as a mercenary service, and the war that has promoted on our shores for the past 160 years plus has ended. Some people are still unaware of this fact, but they are being diligently informed. The American military is now under the control of our Republican form of government and no longer working as mercenaries for the British Crown. Our Federation of States has ingress and egress treaties in place among the several sovereign states of the Union, which specifically allows American military forces to engage enemies, both foreign and domestic, within the borders of our physical states. All public officials and all public officers that do not immediately transfer into their peacekeeping positions and begin protecting the people and their property and assets in this state and don't immediately honor and defend the constitutions will be held to account as criminals. This makes it a capital crime to obstruct those local civilian efforts to protect the people and their property, and it also makes it a capital crime to fail to assist. All federal and state franchise employees and some contractors are hereby additionally placed on notice of all these facts. It's not good enough to stand down and back off. They have to assist with all resources available to them. All public employees at all levels and stations must actively, in good faith, assist in our efforts to the best of their ability, to stop the crimes against the people, stop stealing their property, stop stealing their assets, and stop harming and injuring the people, or they can be arrested as the situation demands. Every reasonable effort will be made to inform federal agency personnel, but any public employee who fails to stand down, anyone who fails to immediately assist and honor their oath to support and defend the Constitution against enemies, foreign and domestic, will be treated as criminals engaged in crime against humanity and enemies of the state. Now, as far as enemies of the state is concerned, that is Article 3, Section 3 of the Constitution. Article 3, Section 3 says, hang on. Article 3, Section 3 says treason, because we were just talking about enemies of the state. Treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid or comfort. So, enemies of the state is going to be those who levy war against the state. Well, what is the state? According to Article 4, Section 4, the United States is responsible to guarantee that every state of the Union has a Republican form of government in that state. And they have to protect it against domestic violence and invasion. And so our Republican form of government is now being domestically violated against by those who do not acknowledge our existence, and also by those who think that our common law is fictitious or frivolous, or who lock our people up in jail without following the law and breaking the Constitution over them. That they become an enemy of the state based on Article 3, Section 3 of the Constitution and Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution, because we are guaranteed the Republican form of government in each state. Our government of, for, and by the people of this country has always been here and is still, and we pray always will be. It doesn't matter if you haven't heard from us in 160 years. We are still here. We are resuming our rightful place. Any hostile action by any foreign principal or organization resisting our natural rights and our guarantees will identify that principal or organization as an accomplice to treason. If they don't or won't provide these services in good faith, we will provide them for ourselves or find other subcontractors who will do the work without illegally, unlawfully, or immorally imposing upon or defrauding their employers. All material assets of the criminal corporations must be returned to the actual American government and the actual American people without delay and without continuing drama, pretensions under color of law, bankruptcy fraud, or threats. So all of this, we have the power and the ability through our Republican form of government. I had already told you about our grand juries. And how our grand juries can affect things in each state and the corrupt officials in the state. They can do it on that end by enforcing the Constitution. But when it comes to, let's just say, the British territorial government as a whole, let's just say the British territorial government as a whole says, yeah, we're not going to listen to you, we're not going to obey. Our 50 states, our Federation of States, the lawful people of the land, we can do quite a few things. We can actually dissolve their corporations. We have the ability through all 50 states working together to dissolve their corporations, because it's just a corporation. It can be dissolved. It can be nationalized, where when it's nationalized, if we nationalize the British Territorial Corporation, then once it's nationalized, that means it comes under our control, and they have to work within the bounds of the Constitution, or we can deport them. Now, remember, as U.S. citizens and British territorial government, they only have temporary residency here under the Residency Act. They're not permanent landowners here in our states, and so they can be deported. So there are things that we can do on a national level to bring the, quote, British territorial government to heel. And so, for instance, we had just found out that the WEF has put a $45 million bounty on Trump's head. And one of the things that our Federation of States, our head of state and our fiduciary had reached out to Trump and said, look, let's go after them. We, as the Republican form of government, it's a corporation. The World Economic Forum is just a corporation as well. We can dissolve that corporation and wipe it out. And because they had, said that they put a bounty on Trump's head. And so I know that our government is reaching out to the Trump administration in those ways. So as far as Cheryl is concerned, that's only a matter of time. rather quickly, I do believe that she will be out of jail. But what's going to happen in the near future? Every single one of these state governments and county governments are going to have to come to heel. The county sheriffs are going to have to operate in their land jurisdiction. All of them are going to have to come to heel and stop the crimes that they're committing on the people of this country.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot. I know I do. I keep hearing feedback. But I know ideally that this is definitely, something that should be brought forth and done. But my concern is like, the IRS and taxes. That is all voluntary. We're not. That's illegal under constitutional law as well. But yet, it's been such a racket that it's been ongoing. Same with regard to the Federal Reserve System. This is a private foreign interest as far as the banking system. And this is in place and has been for a long time. That seems, like it should have been removed and targeted a long time ago by people, that have the know-how, individuals like yourself. And so I just wonder, have you been acknowledged, received, as far as reply from Pam Bondi or Trump or, that side of the political spectrum?
I have not heard back from them yet, but at the same time, all of this stuff that I just sent out to all of them. So we sent all of this out to them. It should have been received by December 14th, I think, or 11th. So they're just now all getting these documents from us. And so our grand jury is prepped for the next steps. I do have an appointment, so I can tell you where I'm at. At this point, no longer am I dealing in the courts and going through the Supreme Court and the Federal Western District Court and going through their court system, which is corrupt anyway, and it isn't even law. They're a mess. But we have a case opened with the Inspector General, and so I have put in a case that's with the Navy. And see, since the United States government is Article 4, Section 4 has to guarantee the Republican form of government and guarantee it in our state and keep us from invasion or violence, then our first step is going to the military. I have gotten a case number and am working through the steps to get in front of the Inspector General of the Navy, or at least the one that's assigned to my region of the Navy. And then we have also reached out for an appointment with, and I've already been told through General Bridges, who is the he's the adjutant general for the National Guard here in Arkansas. I can't get a meeting with him until just after Christmas, but his aides are scheduling some. I should hear back from them soon. We have a packet that is put together to talk to the National Guard, to explain to them through the constitutions and through the Declaration of Independence and through case law, so that they understand that this is not something that they can just say no to. It's not just, oh, we're not going to help you type thing. If they don't step into that, then they are breaking the Constitution. And me personally, I think that the military, because they take an oath to support and defend the Constitution, and the military, they give their lives for the Constitution. Right. Where your judges and your public officials and your politicians don't give their lives for the defense of our Constitution. Once they see and understand that they have to have this leg, the Republican form of government, in place in each state for the safety and for the protection of the people. I believe that they're going to be our aid for enforcement of that. So I have an appointment with General Bridges, the Inspector General. We have people getting phone numbers for Trump. They've all had this in their hands now for maybe 4 or 5 days. And so my goal is after the holidays that I am actively going to be contacting all of these officials and scheduling either a meeting with them or with someone on their staff to explain everything that we have and what's going on.
Hold on, Kimberly. We're at break. We'll be right back, everyone, for second hour.
When Justin and I found out we were having a little girl, we named her Eliana and started dreaming of what life would be like with her, where we would take her, what we would teach her, and of course, what we would read to her. One day we walked around a bookstore looking for books we might want for her and found nothing. So we started brainstorming what exactly we would want. Even from a young age, we wanted her to know and understand the heart of God and hidden truths that are in ancient biblical manuscripts like the Book of Enoch, and the idea of the Prophecy for Children series was born. Justin got hard to work and praise Yah released the Prophecy for Children series. We are grateful for the support and amazing feedback from others who have been wanting the same for their children. With our newest addition to the family, Ezra, we also added Enoch's Judgment of the Giants to this prophecy series. We're excited to keep writing books for our children to share with our truth-seeking family. To order these books today, please check out sacredwordpublishing.com/collections/children's-store.
Tune in to the Family Industrial Complex podcast here on Revolution Radio, Studio B, every Wednesday, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Get fit, empowered, physically, mentally, and spiritually.
Mountain High Time. 2 hours of an organization to the madness. discussing the ever-changing dynamics of being both physically and mentally prepared for a plethora of possible outcomes to our future and present. A look into the latest technologies, new scientific discoveries, and how they might be used in connection to the human domain and controlling it, ancient cultures and places. Be warned, this is an opinionated look through headlines, guests that are not afraid to question the narrative, a little bit of crazy ramblings of a stoner conspiracy factus that pushes constitutional concepts. The place and the time are the same, another dimension we call Mountain High Time. Saturdays 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Mountain High Time, right here on Revolution.radio, where information never sleeps and truth breaks the spell.
Check in every Thursday night for the Crypt Rick and Jonathan Show. Studio A, 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here at the #1 listener-supported radio station, Revolution Radio.
I want to thank everybody for listening to Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com, the one place where information never sleeps. Revolution Radio.
All right, let's show them what we got here.
All right, thanks for listening while we took that short break here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. And now we're going to get back to your host.
All right, welcome back, everybody, for our second hour. I'm your host, Zen Garcia. This is Momentary Zen here on Revolution Radio, and I'm joined this evening by both Kimberly Baker and Robert Mayawangi. Sorry, I always butcher your last name, Robert. But before we bring them on and we start to go in to talking about the updates on the orphanage and everything, I do just want to really quickly bring up that, Bitcoin just at an all-time high, hit $108,000. And I've been, even though, again, I'm not a financial advisor, but I've been telling people that they should simply dollar cost average in and not try to time the market. And there will be an influx of money coming into what is going to be the establishment of a Bitcoin reserve. And that has piqued the interest of not just the nation and people following Trump's lead on that, but states with their pensions are also recommending Wall Street also to their investors that people allocate 3 to 5% of their wealth into their entire portfolio into cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, there's the ETF, an Ethereum ETF, and there will soon be a Solana ETF. And that's going to drive a huge influx of money into what is only a $3.5 trillion crypto market right now. And Trump is talking about moving $1 trillion into it himself, as far as America, in order to fight the debt, which, the debt, in my opinion, all of that is completely illegal. Taxes on wages and earnings is unconstitutional. It was something that was never ratified. One can look to Freedom to Fascism, a movie that was made by Aaron Russo, on how taxes are voluntary and how the IRS is a corrupt entity. And even though we know these things, the same thing with the Federal Reserve System since 1913. It is not federal in any manner. It's a privately owned bank. It's never been audited. We don't even know who is on the board of directors. It's a totally clandestine organization, and it runs the country. Congress was tasked with maintaining coin and currency and trade, and they have given up that authority and have, it's been usurped by the Federal Reserve System. And that is one of the things that, Bitcoin fights and competes against, because there's only ever going to be 21 million tokens created, and that is already coming to an end. They can't just print money. They can't just print Bitcoin like they do dollars. And so it is a store of value. And it is one that the world is starting to adopt. And even though we are only 5%, probably less than 5% of the world, the people of the world, even know what crypto is and know how to invest in it. And so the whole adoption and the growth phase of, like the internet back in the 90s, we're at that place with cryptocurrencies. And so even though we're at all-time highs right now, and I don't risk people buying until you see a lot of red and you see some retracement, I think it's more important for you to be in the crypto market than out. And so I'm going to be doing an entire show on this very soon, but I did just want to mention it. And I also wanted to let people know that I created a Bitcoin t-shirt site, and I'm going to link that to this show and put it in the chat. But the designs that I've made are in support of cryptocurrency and adoption, and they also show how Donald Trump is a supporter of such adoption. And so if you were to purchase 3 shirts, you can email me, let me know, and I will send you an autographed copy, a hardback copy of Skyfall. And I will sign it to whoever you would like. You can give it as a Christmas present. Or, for those of you that do celebrate Christmas. So anyways, a lot of people have been asking me about it and wanted me to do and cover this in show. And so I will at some point, just not this evening. I'm going to turn it back over to Kimberly. And I do believe that Robert is with us. He's joining us from Kenya and has stayed up to be on the show. We appreciate you doing that, Robert. Kimberly, Robert, are y'all there?
Yes.
Robert, are you there, brother?
Hello?
Hey, there you are. All right. How are you doing, my brother?
We are doing well. Yahweh has been faithful all along. Shalom, shalom. Many greetings to you all.
Well, thank you, brother, for staying up, to be with us or getting up early. I know there's a huge time difference. But just can you give us an update on how things are going with the orphanage, what the situation there is like, how the weather and, crops and everything, just the livelihood of your family, the kids, the orphans, and how many people you're currently supporting.
Yeah, we first of all want to thank you for allowing us to be on air and to pass our many greetings to you all. And first of all, to appreciate and acknowledge you all, because we believe that KRCH, which means in full Keumbu Rehema Children's Home, was truly established by the hand of Yahweh, and more importantly, as in Hebrews 13 verse 2, he brought you in to make it work. This institution could not be in existence today since it was initiated if it were not for families like you who have sacrificially supported us. Maybe briefly, I want to speak about a little history about Keumbrema Children's Home for the hearers to get it. Keumbrema Children's Home, otherwise commonly known as KRCH, was founded in 2006 as a foster care unity with a child named Mary. And all along from 2006 to date, we have a capacity of 73 kids, ranging from 1 year now that they have turned to 18 years old. Keumbrema Children's Home is located in the western part of Kenya on the highlands of Kisii. Keumbrema Children's Home has got 2 units, one for the boys and one for the girls. And basically, there's been a history and the support of Sister Kim and the family and Endeavor Freedom. So this far, we really want to appreciate you and say that may Yahweh bless you. Over the weather in Kisii is friendly, although at times because of the climate change, it keeps on changing. The weather we have is not the weather we used to have the other time. Recently, we had a lot of rains. Used to rain a lot at night, and this one caused a lot of coldness at night. And because of that, there were mosquitoes, and our kids and many of us fall ill, but we were healed. That's the much I can be able to talk about Keumbrema Children's Home and its history.
I'm going to be posting a link for those that are in the live stream in the chat. And for those that would like to know how to do so, you can just, every Wednesday night, we stream 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern here in Athens, Georgia, East Coast, United States of America. But I'm posting a link to the orphanage in the chat. And for those that would like to join us at future date, just go to Zen Garcia on the YouTube for our live stream, and you can join us in the chat there. And again, I did post a link, and there are profiles of the different children. You can read their stories, and you can find out about their lives and their situations and how they came to be with Robert and his family. And you can select, you can choose, particular children that you'd like to support, or you can make a general donation. But as I said, if those of you that are willing to do so, if you will donate to the orphanage, and Robert lets me know that you have done so, I will have you email me, and I will send you out an autographed copy of one of my books. I did just recently found an entire box of hardbacks of Skyfall, and those were selling for like in excess of $100 each on Amazon when they were out of print. And so I want to support those of you that support the orphanage and that are willing to give and to support Robert and his mission in supporting all of these orphans. We had been and were trying. We had raised money to start the construction of a classroom and a school, and we have the government support over there in Kenya as well, and advisories on how to accomplish this. But we do need help. We need the monetary support of those of you that can afford to do so. And as I have stated previously, if you give to the orphanage, you can give to Endeavor Freedom, and we give everything directly to the orphanage, and we can also give you a tax write-off for your donation. And so it's a win-win situation. Those of you that would like to give directly, which we have no problems with that as well, and in fact we encourage, we did post a link to the website where you can go and find and support the orphanage. And Kimberly, can you give that, the web address for those that aren't in the chat room and that will be listening to the show later?
Yes, I can. So the website is KeumbaChildren'sHome.com. It's KEUMBU children'shome.com.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Also, those of you that are longtime listeners, you know that I am not one to ask for donations. I'm not one to ask for you to give money to our ministry. I never in all the shows that I do I appeal to you in such manner. We do mention the products that we sell because we feel that that's like a barter, our time and our products for those of you that are willing to support us, that's a way that you can do that. And as I said, I'll post a link to the t-shirts, and we're going to put a link to that on our website at some time as well. But, again, even though I don't do this kind of thing often at all, in fact, never, usually, I feel like I should ask those of you again that can, if you would, to support me in supporting Robert and the Kenyan Orphanage. And, we also support other orphanages. You can find all that information on our endeavorfreedom.org website, as well as you can find individual stories and uploads, the stories and videos and pictures that Robert and Jacob and others from the other various orphanages that we support. You can find that on the Endeavor Freedom Incorporated Facebook page. And, again, you can see the stories, you can read them for yourself, and you can choose to, if you'd like, to support something that's real. Because I know a lot of people have asked me also, you've wanted to give and to support real causes and to give aid where aid is really needed. Well, this is, that kind of a situation that you can support Robert and the orphans there, and you can make, donations that are specific to individual children's for their schooling, for their food, for blankets, clothing, material, whatever it may be, you can specify. And those kind of needs and wants and desires are also placed on the website. And so you can read the individual stories. And if it touches you, if it moves you to, to give aid, please do. And also, please let me know, because I will make a point to make it beneficial for you to support the orphans in the way that we are doing as well. And so let me turn it back over to you, Robert, and give you a chance to, address the listening audience. And if you would, talk about some of, as your needs and what people can do to support you currently with donation or in material goods, if they can send you packages, clothing, blankets, medical supplies, whatever, if you could mention all of it. And then we'll turn it over to Kimberly and get her to comment.
Thank you, Brother Zen, for the opportunity again. And I want to link up from the views that you've just given. I wanted to clarify to our listeners that Keumbu Rehema Children's Home KRCH is a fully registered and licensed orphanage by the government of Kenya. Recently, the NCCS, National Council for Children's Services, was going round doing inspections on the Kehumbu Rehema Children's Home. On the areas they were doing inspection, that is about child care and protection, we were ranked the best in the whole of this state. And we have now been promoted not only as a CCI, CCI means Children Charitable Institution, but also to a rescue center. I think that is the highest profile that an orphanage can have in Kenya. And that is why we were allowed by the Kenyan government to operate a bank account called Equity that also linked us to the PayPal account. The PayPal account that the orphanage runs is the institution's account. In other words, every donation that is sent, it doesn't come to Robert, it doesn't come to an individual, it goes to the orphanage account, and the orphanage account is managed by the board of trustees appointed by the government. Was trying to clear the air that KRCH is a licensed and legit orphanage. Going to the question you asked my brother Zen about our needs, we have 73 kids. And actually the budget minus their high school fees is more than $4,000 to give them food, to give them medication, to give them a good place to sleep, to give them soap and supplies. It is more than roughly $4,000. And actually we run on a budget deficit. In other words, we are not able to sufficiently attend and supply to the needs of these kids. Our budget is more than $4,000, but what we get at the end of the month is at times less than 1,500. And this one has made us enter into debt because things like food and supplies, these are necessities for every child. So we have accumulated a number of debts here, but we believe Yahweh is so faithful. He will always open a door. He will always supply, as he supplied to Abraham on Mount Moriah. Another need is high school fees. In Kenya, schooling and education is mandatory. In other words, every child in an orphanage must, by law, attend school. And the government doesn't support in any way. But as long as the child is the age of going to school, then that child must be in school. After primary, the child graduates to high school, and roughly to keep a child in school for the whole year, for the 30 kids we have, is close to $60,000 US. That is why we thought it was good to come up with our own high school.
Yes.
I also want to take this opportunity on behalf of the Keumbu Rehema Children's Home family, on behalf of Kim, and on behalf of the Endeavor family, to appreciate you all for sacrificially helping us to buy land to build the school. If it were possible that we can raise $93,000 US, we will be able to build this high school, and it will save us from the pain of spending more than $60,000 US per year to educate these kids in high school. And the challenge is we are not able to raise this money to keep these kids in school. And most of them, they are chased from school. We got there bleeding with the principals to keep them in school. And many times they miss exams. And this one frustrates the children and keeps them under stigma when others are in school and they are not in school. Another advantage about the high school will be it will be an income generating project. In other words, besides the kids from Keumbu Rehema Children's Home who are going to school in this school, kids from the community and the surrounding areas will come to school here, and they will be paying school fees.
Yeah, that's awesome, and that's why we are and have been wanting to do this, because even though, yes, the fees are exorbitant, if we can open up this school and have that be a way for the orphanage to subsist and sustain itself, that would be a win-win situation all the way around. We just need to raise the funds to get the project off the ground. And as we talked about this in the last show that we did on this topic, and Kimberly and I did shows on this previously, it would only take like $9,000, $10,000 to get one room established. And all we need to do is have two in place, and then we can add on, build on, develop more, and expand the project as more and more funds come in. And so we're not asking people to give $90,000 or anything of that nature. I mean, certainly if you could support the whole project and you wanted to do so, that would be a beautiful thing. But we're just asking people to give what they can and allow us to accumulate these funds so that we can start the process of building the school, and doing the construction. Because once we get started, it will come together. I truly believe that. that the Most High will bless all of our efforts, and certainly, the prayers, the people that stepped up to donate to so that the orphanage could buy the land. I mean, God bless all of you, and you know who I'm talking to, those of you that have given to Endeavor Freedom. And again, we do not take any of the money. There's no administrative fees. Everything goes directly to supporting the orphans. And we also, Endeavor Freedom has been established since September of 2001. Before, the events of 9/11, we were able to receive our nonprofit status right before the events of that day, which made getting a nonprofit much more difficult thereafter. But anyways, let me turn it back over to you. I'm going to get a sip of water. I'll be right back. Kimberly, would you like to comment?
Absolutely. I was just going to go. I have the paperwork here in my hands. I just wanted to just go over what we've done so far. So this is a project that Zen and me and Robert were sitting down trying to figure out what in the world are we going to do. The school fees are so expensive for the high school students, but they have to go to school, and yet we need the orphanage to be self-sufficient. And being able to have a school would enable them to open up the doors into the community to be able to have other students come in, because they are forced by law to pay school fees. That would pay for the teachers, that would pay for a lot of the different fees that they had, but it would also, like Robert said, it would be income generating so that the orphanage could have the school to generate the income it needs for the school fees. As far as their food and their clothing and medicines, usually that is done pretty good and taken care of by those of us in our family and friends that have been helping with that matter. But the school fees have always been a struggle for us to come up with each time. So this was a great idea. And I do believe that Creator is still right in the middle of it with us, because when we started this project, the first meeting that we had on it, we had 3 phases that we were going to roll out in this project. The first project was to purchase 2.5 acres of land. Well, Robert went and looked for the land and actually found land that was right there, walking distance from the orphanage, right down the street from the orphanage. For those of you that may not know, we built a well for the orphanage. It is the only clean water in that whole town of Kesey, and it's the only well in that town that we were able to build, so people come to get the water. So we knew we needed to have land that was not far from the school so that they could have clean water. Well, when that land became available, and we had the show with Zen about starting this off, the land was paid for and was done. That was done last year, and we were able to get the land and have that for them. So then we've been stalled out. I know Zen had been sick. And of course, as most of you listeners now know, or some of you may already know, that we have had struggles with our own government here, which has made it difficult for me to even be working on trying to do the extra that needed to be done for the construction of the school. And so now at the construction phase, if you look, the total amount that we needed for the whole budget was $92,618. But if you take off the $27,500 that we already have done for the land, that first phase is finished, there's only $65,118 that is left, and that is for the school to be fully equipped with labs. That's everything. That's blackboards, that's office, that's bathrooms, that's electricity. That's everything at the $65,000. But if we could even just start it out, like Zen and Robert were saying, is start it out with just a couple classrooms. When you go to the classrooms are $2,500 a piece. Well, if you get a couple classrooms, that's 5,000. If you do the boys and girls bathroom, and have the 2 bathrooms that are in place, there's 4,500. And then having an office, they would have to have the office building. I think there's certain things have to be put in place. If they didn't build it all at once, there are certain things that the government requires them to build and have put in place. And if I'm understanding it correctly, and my figures are still right from the last time that Robert had talked to the government, it looked to me like if we started off and they were able to open the school, we could start it with like $16,000 of starting with just a few buildings, a couple buildings, and the supplies that they need to get that part started. We could start it with a small amount, and as we had more money and continue to build, we could end up finishing the whole project. But it would at least, the hope is that it would at least get our 30 high school students that are having to pay $60,000 a year for school out from under those schools, and have a teacher come in and at least be just starting there, and then build from there. So that was my understanding of it, and that is where we are on the proposal and the project within the second phase. And so it would be very nice to be able to work together and make this the first piece of this happen, is partnering together to do that.
Yeah, that would be an awesome situation because it would settle the need to, and all the money that is going to currently other places to support the children in their schooling. And, just the fact of saving all that money for all of these students and being able to apply that money to the, continued outreach and outgrowth of the school and the construction, the establishment of it. All we have to do is get it going, get it off the ground, minimally, and begin the process. And in doing so, we'll pick up momentum. It will grow, and it will come into place and into manifestation. I, without a doubt, believe that. And so, Robert, let me give you a chance to comment and speak to the community as well.
There is nothing that pleases Yahweh than becoming a vessel to serve others.
Amen.
Service to community is service to Yahweh.
Yes.
I wish to take this opportunity to appreciate you all. And we know you do this out of a huge sacrifice. I remember one time Sister Kim getting a loan to help us figure out the world. I remember Brother Boaz Will going beyond his means to help us get a meal on that day when we absolutely had nothing. The kids had not taken breakfast, they had not taken lunch. He didn't have money with himself, but he really sacrificed to bless these children. Over here, Brother Zen, we understand that the offering you send to us here, it doesn't come easy. And that is why, trust me, we trust every offering you send to us, and every coin goes to the service of these children. I pray that out of your sacrifice, may Yahweh in return give you 100-fold. May you be blessed even up to the 4th generation. I pray that you may not lack. Some of you work for long hours to see that we have a cup of tea before these children. And the Yahweh is saying this. Allow me, our listeners, to say that may Yahweh bless you in accordance to Proverbs 19:17. He says, what you have given to Keumburema Children's Home, you have actually given it to him. He says you have given to him as a loan. Allow much, I pray that he pays back to you with the interest. May I decree a blessing over you all who are listening. From the book of Proverbs 22, verse 9. It says, blessed is he who has a generous eye, for Yahweh will bless him. Allow me, listeners, to speak a blessing to you, even from Psalms 41. And I believe you read verse 3. It says, Yahweh, he himself personally will take care of your deeds for helping those who are in need. When you are sick, he will take care of you even when you are in the hospital bed. And that's what he did recently for our brother Zen. Amen. Out of your generous heart, he was able to rescue you back from the hospital bed ICU like he did for Hezekiah. And for everyone who has participated in helping us, how much I pray, like he did for Mordecai, may he look at the chronicles of your generosity and do you good. For those who are listening to us for the first time, we open our arms to you that Keumburema Children's Home needs you a lot. At the times, what our sponsors are giving does not actually meet our budget line. You are most welcome as our new partner to come and partner with us. Above all, besides giving us donations, we request that you also pray for us. We need your prayers more than anything else, and may Yahweh bless you.
Yes, thank you, Robert. Very well said. I'd also like to just remind people that, the Most High gives blessings to those that bless others. And remember when the apostles had asked Yahushua, Christ, who was the greatest amongst them? And then he bent the knee to wash their feet and to show them in humility that those that are counted the greatest in the kingdom are those that take care of, give to, and support their fellow man, especially those, the orphans, the widows, those that are in genuine need, animals in need, in whatever way. The Most High blesses all of us so that we can bless others, and that's the way he takes care of everything. The rain pours upon all of our heads, causes the food to grow. We are supported, maintained, given the abundance of this world. And the Most High just wants us to share that with others. There is such abundance in this world. The way that Yahuwah has established that from a seed, that you can grow crop after crop after crop, and you can feed yourself directly from the earth. I mean, that is just, it's amazing. It's amazing. And so one other story I'd like to share, and then I'll turn it back over to both Kimberly and Robert before we get to the end of the show. And this has to do with Thomas, one of the apostles, the stepbrother of Christ. He was tasked with going to India, and he did not want to go there because it was such a stronghold for idols. And it was a stronghold, a satanic stronghold for idolatry. But he went there, and when he arrived, the king asked him about his skill set, and he constructed palaces and buildings, and he offered to build a palace for the king. And the king took him up on his offer, gave him a bunch of money, and told him to start, and that he would next year come to check out what he had achieved. Well, unbeknownst to the king, Thomas took the money that the king had given to him and he gave it to the orphans and to the widows and to the poor, to those that were in need. And he gave away all of the funds that the king had given to him. Well, when the king found out, he was furious. He imprisoned Thomas and was thinking and devising a method to punish Thomas for having squandered his funds. Well, the king's brother had passed away, and the king was very sad, so he was going to have to deal with Thomas after the funeral of his brother. And they were going through the process of burying him. And as they were about to put him in the ground, he came back to life. And when he did so, the first thing he asked his brother, who was the king, was if he could stay in the palace that he had seen in heaven. And the brother did not know what he was talking about. He was like, "What are you talking about? What palace?" And then his brother mentioned that the palace that Thomas had built for him, the palace that was in heaven that would receive him. As Christ said, I go now to prepare a place before you, that he promised to come again to gather us, but that he is building right now the mansions in heaven for those that will be numbered amongst the elect. And he said in Matthew chapter 6, when you feed those that are less fortunate, you are taking care of him. You are giving directly to him. And this is what Robert said, that when you are supporting this orphanage, you are given directly to the Most High. You are sharing the abundance and you are showing gratitude for all the blessings that he has poured forth upon all of us. Because we are truly, truly blessed to live in this nation. Even though, there are, things that are corrupt and things that are turned upside down. There's a lot of weirdness going on in the country, but there's also hope, and there's also a feeling of optimism, and that people, we are truly, truly blessed to be able to start a business in this country and to generate income, and then to have that income, you can, give it to charities and write it off of your taxes. I mean, that's unheard of. That's, a win-win situation. And so I just pray that you will join us in supporting Robert and enabling the orphans there to go to school and also to be fed and to be able to take care of themselves. Robert, can you share some of the stories of the children that have grown up in your care and the kind of things that they are accomplishing now, the kind of things they are doing? Some of the stories of, the kids that you've discovered, some that were even thrown away into the trash. I mean, that's just insane. But this has happened more than just once. And you were there to take these children in and to provide for them. So if you could just share a few of your stories, and then we'll turn it back over to Kimberly.
Thank you, Brother Zen, for this opportunity. Before I share the stories, I want to recognize the gift we have just received from Chris as the As we are on air, we have received a generous gift from Brother Chris of $300. And I just want to say that may Yahweh bless you so much. I want to start with the story of Boaz. Boaz is a name we gave this child after Kim's husband. Boaz was found thrown on a dumpster, left there to die, and he was 2 weeks old. Then he was brought to Kehumbu Rehema Children's Home, and the boy has grown. Boaz is healthy, bouncing, good-looking, and a handsome young boy who is now turning to 2 years. And this has been only successful because of your support. I want to bring to you the story of Blessings Casey Babu, who was also thrown and left at the dumpster, left to die. And the girl came here, and she was diagnosed with a disease that her bones could break and break and break, and she could not live beyond 10 years. Guess what? Out of your prayers and your support and the supplements that we bought for her, Casey is now healthy. Casey is now not sick. They said she could not walk. Casey could run. Now she is completely healed. The first kid who came here, Mary, you supported us. From her being 3 years, she has gone through high school. You helped us pay that school fees. She has gone through college, and we trust Yahweh will give her a job so that she can give back to the community. So many stories of this little girl who was almost being killed by the stepmother because the mother died, and this kid was rescued. The back was badly beaten and battered. The girl was emaciated. The stepmother could not be able to give her food. But out of your prayers and your support, now that girl is in school, that girl is healthy, that girl has a place to sleep, that girl can now get food, and that is all about Yahweh can do and what you also can be able to do. I want to encourage you that what you're doing here is really touching many lives. You are not only helping these children, but you are helping the community, and you are actually creating a tribe. Out of these many kids, we know other generations will come who will definitely be told your stories and who will always remember you. Thank you. Those are some of the few stories we have out of the 73 kids that we have at this home.
I just want to thank you, Chris, and I want to also, those of you that, listen later and that donate to the orphanage, we greatly appreciate you. And please do email me, because I'm very serious about, giving an autographed copy of one of my books to those of you that donate. I want to encourage you to donate, and I have no problems with matching, bartering with our books or, something, whatever I can do, I'd be glad to do to help and to encourage and to have you support us in this project. And thank you so much ahead of time. May the Most High continue to bless all of you, watch over you, keep you all safe. And thank you again, Chris and others. And I want to give a shout out to Jim and Joanne as well. They were the ones that donated for us to purchase the land, and others. We are greatly appreciated to all of you. Rin, Bruno, so many. Oh, also this reminds me, Bridget, Bridget, you know who you've donated to us as well. I am looking for your address. I have a book signed for you that I'd like to send out to you. If you would, please email me, contact me again, or send us a letter and give me your address again. I lost the envelope. I tried to keep it, but I don't know what happened to it. But anyways, I do have a book here for you that I'd like to send to you. Kimberly?
Yes, I just wanted to add on to that. In the parable of the sower, it talks about when a sower goes out and sows seed, and some falls by the wayside and is trodden down, and the birds come and devour it. Some fall upon a rock, and it springs up and withers away because it lacked moisture. Some fall upon the thorns, but others fall on good ground and springs up fruit 100-fold. And I just want to just reiterate that when you support orphanages and you support the widows and the orphans, you're throwing your seed upon good ground, always in Creator's mind. That seed is going on good ground, and not only does it bless the orphans, but it also blesses you. I know over all these years, I wouldn't have gotten where I have gotten in the things that I'm doing, especially even with this government, because Robert and the children fast and pray.
Oh my goodness.
Support
We've
them.
already arrived at the end of the show. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you, everybody in the chat. We appreciate, love all of you. Have a blessed night.
Thank you. Have a good night, guys.
Good night. Good night, Robert. Keep up there.
Thank you for listening to Revolution Radio.